If we're Tatastha Shakti Jivas, Tata means border, marginal potency, right? Between two planes. Here's the spiritual world, here's the material world, situated in the margin. What is a margin? It's actually an imaginary position. So as we're told, the tata, why? Where water meets land on the bank of a river, or where at what point is it land, at what point is it water? It's an imaginary position. Right? So, but how do we reconcile that with the expression back to home, back to Godhead? Well, on the basis of what we've heard from Guru Maharaj, he'll remind us that Tata, that region, that marginal position, is on the outskirts of the spiritual world, the Chit Shakti. Jivas are atomic particles of Chit Shakti, atomic units of consciousness, situated on the outskirts of Godhead, of back to home, back to Godhead. Right? And enticed what he sometimes called the satanic mania expressed in Milton's Paradise Lost, where satanic mania in what way? Serve in heaven, reign in hell. You're given this choice from that marginal position. Right? Some are opting from the beginning to be incorporated in the spiritual world, to serve in heaven. They think, I'll realize my prospect, my potential through dedication. Others are opting to reign in hell. Right? An egocentric conception, what David Foster Wallace calls being lords of our skull-sized kingdoms. Right? And then trying to extend the circumference of your exploiting ability. Was it Shelley wrote Ozymandias about one of the Ramses, kings of Egypt, where he says, I met a traveler from an ancient land, and he told me of something extraordinary that he saw. It was out in the middle of a desert, this giant statue, but that was broken. The head was lying tilted in the sand, but the base from the waist down was still there. And he said, this was a great king. And he said, whoever the sculptor was, he very accurately represented the arrogance in the face of and scorn in the face of the king. You could see that in his face. So his head is lying in the sand, like we see in some of those Buddhist statues where the head's been separated. And at the base of the statue, there's an inscription, and it said, I am Ozymandias, king of kings. Look upon my kingdom, and in despair, and you'll never have anything like this. He said, but interestingly, when all you see in every direction is desert sand. There is no kingdom. Whatever kingdom he had, it vanished so long ago. So when we say back to home, back to Godhead, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Jaiva Dharma that when you hear different examples, you have to catch the gist of what is being said. If you analyze it too far, you'll end up emphasizing the differences. So if I was giving an example in which I compared water to milk, you can understand, liquidity or something. But if you think about it, if you start analyzing it, you'll realize in so many ways that water and milk are different than one another. Right? So, if we say Jive Swarupai Krishnara Nityadas, that the soul is eternal servant of Krishna, and your fully activated servitor identity, that's what we mean by Godhead and back to home. Right? But from tatastha position, it's not activated. So you can't be in the central conception of the infinite, in the center of the spiritual world. You have to be on the margin. And we're not talking geographically in the conventional sense, but in terms of conceptual, conscious development. For what is the spiritual world but a plane of consciousness, and consciousness enriched with dedication, right? So if that dedicating tendency, which is lying dormant in almost a state of suspended animation, is not activated, then you're on the margin. And when it's activated in terms of serving and expressing the servitor identity, that's expressed in the center, in the central conception.